Hi there, welcome back to the signal box today for another video and a little quick update on the portable workbench that I made yesterday. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and all that usual good stuff. Hello to my regular subscribers, and we'll crack on with the video today. So just a little brief update video. So a few little changes I've done to the workbench since yesterday. Basically the most noticeable thing you might notice is I've extended the track. And I've extended it from where, say, these HST noses are, where my finger is, that way. So I've added a piece of track going off the end there. So now we've got proper end-to-end running from that side and to that side. And as you notice there from that shot, I've got two little pieces of foam, which I've glued on the end there, one there, and on the other end there as well. And they act like, basically like cushioned buffer stops. Should the driver lose control, then at least the loco won't go too hard into this surface, and it will protect obviously the paint finish and any super detail on the front or any damage from getting done. So it will hit the soft piece of foam like a cushion. So the idea is that that protects the loco and obviously everything else. The second little job I've done is obviously where I've soldered the piece of extended track on there, I've just put a simple soldered connection underneath each rail and then ran the cable underneath and then up to the controller, which obviously is here. And then up this end I've put a pair of fly leads in, and what this basically does is it enables me to obviously put my train on the track and run it prior to maintenance, but also it gives me the added option now of powering, say for example, a tender or any motor or chassis mechanism on the workbench. I don't have to run it on the track if I don't want to. I can bench test the motor with these pair of fly leads, which takes power from the track as well. So I've got a double feed situation there, so that's pretty handy. Again, very simple to do. It's just an added little bonus of the maintenance side of things. Rather than me keep clipping crocodile clips to the track and faffing around, I've got a permanent connection. So these are always going to be live as long as the train controller is turned and set accordingly. And that helps out me masses. I've just done some work on this actually. Just before I started hit the recording button, I've just literally finished doing some work on this. I've done those HST cars over there, both the power and dummy car. I've given a thorough clean with the wheels and the motor and everything. They've been thoroughly cleaned and serviced, as is those in that set there. I've cleaned the carriage wheels on those. I've done all that. It's a really, really old set I've got. That's about 1979 vintage. It's just a spare HST set I've got that I picked up from eBay many moons ago, and I've got some additional extra coaches, but they've all been cleaned and serviced. That's the power and the dummy car, and both the coaches have all been cleaned. The whole thing's been spick and span, given the West Anglia treatment, as I say. That's been done, as with those over there. But this little beastie, I have not run her so long ago. I mean, it seems like forever since I've run this. It's a cute little engine. It's a little pug, a little LMS pug. And this is the first pug I actually got with, I think it was the cross-country set from Hornby. I've still got the coaches. And I think what I'm going to do in the next video of the layout, I'm going to get her running, because that's why I got her out today and gave her a little bit of a tidy up and a clean. The con rods were a little bit dirty, so as you can see, sparkly with a little bit of meths and a cotton bud. I've given those con rods there a bit of a polish up. The wheels I've given a nice little shine up with some, again, methylated spirits and a cotton bud. A little bit of grease on the gear cog there was needed. The motor's very, very good. Just really the wheel rims were a little bit filthy. And the pickup side and then the inside flanges of the wheels, or the back edges should I say, have all been cleaned as well. So everything on there has been cleaned. And she is in quite good condition actually. The bodywork's a little bit worn and dirty a little bit, but not too overly bad. This is one of the locos that I actually painted. In terms of the cab roof, I gave a little bit of extra coat of paint. I know it looks a bit crappy. The back there, I gave a little bit of an extra coat. The back head, all the controls there and the little gauges, I hand painted myself at one point because they were all black and very boring. So I highlighted those with some paint one afternoon, many moons ago. I put a little driver who does everything on the footplate by himself. He's a one-person operation gang. He's the driver and the fireman. Yeah, so it adds a bit of interest. I think there you go. I painted the cab floor as well there. Yeah, I remember doing that. Anyway, that's a little bit of a tidy up I gave that, but let's just to see what she does on my new little bit of test track. But she runs really well. Look at this. Hang on. Let's just push it up to that end and see what we can do. Right, let's put it on, say, 15. See where she goes, what way. Is that on there? Is it on there? I think it should be. Let's try it again, shall we? There we go. Donk straight into that bit of foam, no damage done. In reverse. That's a sweet little runner. Oops, there we go. And I know why that is, because I see that right there, a little bit of fly crap on the rail, which we can just buzz off like that, and we can bring her over again. Right, let's see if I can get it to crawl. That's just on manual control. Yeah, she's not bad. Not bad at all. Right. So if we just turn around by hand, like that, and then we'll do this way. So I'm just really bored. I've got nothing else to show you, I'm afraid, except this little pug. But she's a good little runner. Yeah, she's definitely coming out in the next video. I need to keep her down in my main collection, because she's up in the box at the moment on top of my wardrobe, and it doesn't really come out. But now she deserves to. Look at that. What a cute little engine. Right, now these Hornby 040 pugs, they've got a nickname between us railway modelers and collectors. They're called pocket rockets. And I'll show you the warp speed test. So if I set my brake simulator to switch it on, hold the brakes, and put the speed controller on to full. Right, watch this. Watch it take off. This thing's mental. So I've shut off now, and it's just going to coast all the way down so there's no more juice. So if that was to hit 88 miles per hour, I think it would go back in time. That is a very, very, very powerful little motor in that thing. They're quite nice engines. These are a bit like Marmite, that you either loathe them or you like them. I think they're quite nice. They're in very like little industrial engines. I've seen people industrialize these by putting the square buffer blocks on the front instead of their shanks. But these are really, to be quite honest, they remind me of the little dock shunters that the Great Eastern Railway had. I grew up in East London, so a lot of railway history, Great Eastern wise, especially around the Canning Tox, I say that again, I put my teeth in. The Canning Town docks, Silver Town, King George V docks all around North Woolwich is what I was meant to say. Sack him. It's basically, they had sort of these similar engines. Little, very short wheelbase, little shunting steam engines. And I remember the one at North Woolwich Station Museum, it was on a turntable. And for many, many decades it sat there, from the early 1980s to when it closed in the 90s, I think, or 2000, when Newham Council shut the museum rather stupidly. But the good thing I hear about is that particular coffee pot, Great Eastern little 040. It's currently near enough in steam. They've managed to restore it, and it's not far off from being in full restoration order. So if I find out it's like up, say, in Sheringham in the North Norfolk Railway, anywhere up there, if it's within easy reach of a train ride, I will try and seek it and go and have a look. But anyway, in the meantime, just a quick little vid to show you some things. Oh, before I go, a little bit of a gripe and a moan, I'm afraid. I don't gripe and moan that much, but when I do, I always think personally, without being too facetious, that I think my complaining is justified if something is true. Now, I've got here, this is an old Humbrol liquid glue bottle. It's one of those old, what I call old school bottles that have got the child safety clicky lid. And when I grew up with medicine in little containers like this, and you couldn't open it because you had to squeeze it a certain way, it was childproof. And this is an old Humbrol glue bottle that's completely dried out. I was going to chuck it away, but I thought, no, I'll rinse it out and keep it because it'll come in handy. So what am I using it for now? Well, this is obviously two reasons I use this container. Number one, it's made of glass, so it's nice and strong. It's got the clicky lid, which keeps everything inside nice and safe. And what I've done, I've removed the bristle paintbrush end, and I've stuck a little pin in there, if you can see that. Now that little pin was part of the original oil pen mechanism. But the oil pen and its contents, well, the contents of the oil pen is in here. This is Loco lubrication oil in here. Now, why have I put it in here, may you ask? Well, the fact is, I wish to raise a serious manufacturing defect with, not Gauge Master, but the people who manufacture these plastic oil pens that we buy for our hobby. Now, what's inside's fantastic, but there's two design faults. The little nozzle, which you gently squeeze the plastic oil pen, which because of finger and thumb pressure produces obviously the oil coming out of the end, which is out of that thing. Now you've got a rubber stopper originally on the end of these oil pens, and what happens is the pieces of rubber get stuck inside that sort of pin, very fine pin head, with the hole where the oil comes out. It gets clogged up with a bit of rubber that comes off the stopper. So there's that problem. You've got to keep wiping it and trying to get it out with your fingers or tweezers to unblock the hole. And what happens is, if you get a piece of rubber from the oil pin, in the end of that little pin that I've used, there's a hole at the end of that pin. I mean, you can see it. You won't be able to see it from here, obviously. I do apologise. You can't really see it. Oh, there you go. Maybe. Oh, there you go. Thank you, camera. Now, can you guys at home see that little small hole in the end of that pin there? That's originally where the oil flows through when it's in the oil pen. But what happens is that little hole gets clogged up with the rubber material from the bung on the end of the oil pen. And then what happens is, when you gently try and squeeze that much pressure gently for the oil to come out when you want to use it, it gets stuck. And what happens is it creates a little bit of back pressure. And what happens is 99% of the time, the plastic on the oil pen, you feel and hear a little, and it basically splits, and then you've got oil peeing out everywhere, all over your fingers and all over your, oh, it's a mess. I've had that happen 3 times now. It's a very, very bad design fault. And secondly, the material that's used to manufacture these oil pens, it's very, very thin, flimsy plastic. I've seen thicker plastics on a packet of crisps, to be honest with you. It's really silly, thin plastic, and it's not strong enough for you to basically squeeze the oil out at a reasonable pressure. So what I've done, I've tipped it in this jar, and I've pinched the pin off the end of the oil pen and stuck it in the dipper of the original glue top there. Click top lid, nice and safe, strong nice glass jar. I can see also visually how much oil that's in there. That doesn't look a lot on the camera, I know, but that much oil will last me well over 1.5 years, maybe even longer. To be honest with you, 2 years that will last, if not more, because you only need a drop. You don't need loads and loads when you're lubing up your loco. So that's more than enough in there, and that will last ages. And I like the idea of having that secure in there like that. And to be honest with you guys, if you're familiar with the Hornby Railways operating instructions that come with your locos, I don't know if they still do it now, but years ago, when these things used to come out of Margate, and you got the Margate instructions on your model locomotive, they would put a set of maintenance diagrams in, and they would also give you a lubrication little guide, and they'd show you how to make an oiling tool out of a simple wine bottle cork and a simple sewing needle, and that would be your oiling tool. And obviously you have your oil container separately done up. So that's the same principle basically. I can just dip it in. I've tested it out, and you can even wipe it on the side of the glass container to remove any excess before you apply it, because you only need a little bit. A little dab goes a long way. And yeah, so that's a little idea I've come up with again. I think that's a brilliant idea, and I know this container will last a heck of a lot longer than stupidly plastic oil pens. I mean, they're not damn well cheap either. I think they're anything over £10, something like that. I know they're not exactly cheap. They're more than £5. I know that. But you look on Amazon, you look on eBay, direct from your model railway supplier. I mean, you can get them, but they're just basically, I don't think they're reliable. And also, I think sometimes the oil might even degrade the plastic in the material. I don't know that. I can't prove that, but it's a really bad idea. And if you're going to use plastic for an oil pen, then at least use a very tough material so that it works a bit more better and it doesn't break when you squeeze it over a period of time, because there's a build-up of back pressure because of a tiny little piece of rubber in the pinhole there, which produces the split when you squeeze it, because obviously there's nowhere for the oil pressure to go, and it cracks it. Sorry for the long, boring, geeky scientific information, but it's just one of those things that damn will annoy me. They need to design things a bit better. So I like the old-fashioned way. Put the oil in a little container, and then you can see how much oil you got in there, and you can oil up properly. That's like a loco man's way of doing things, you know, like the old school way, where you put things in a jar and you can see what's in there, and you can just dab it on, and you can, you know where you are with that. So a good little idea from me, and I think that's a good idea. She goes like a bomb, she really does, doesn't she? There it goes. Goodbye. Right, that's all from me. That's all from the oily jar. And there we go. I've run out of words, but yeah, I'll see you in the next video, folkies, and I hope we'll enjoy seeing these run in the next video. Anyway, gotta fly. And yeah, see you soon in the next one. Thanks very much for watching. You take care of yourselves, everybody, and God bless. Bye-bye.